Hey everybody, Steve Browski here. I am so stoked to be back at FDIC 2024 in Indianapolis. I want to give you a little preview of what to expect in my 4-hour pre-conference session titled Top Tips to Ace Your Next Promotional Examination. So, the class will be based upon my latest book from Fire Engineering, Books and Videos, 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Examination. Now, we're not going to have time in 4 hours to cover all 101 tips. That's not the whole goal because I don't want to shove, 20 pounds of stuff in a 4-pound box, as they say. But I want to cover the high-level stuff that I think is most important for the time that we have. So I want you to come to class armed with a lot of questions and be prepared to hopefully share and discuss things from your experience and hopefully learn from not just myself, but learn from others in the class. So this class is going to really focus a lot on what do they want in a promotional candidate. I hear that question a lot. What do they want? Who is they? They being the oral board, they being the fire chief. We'll talk a lot about that. Because you line up five fire chiefs in a row and you'll probably get 5 slightly different answers. We'll talk about a lot of those different answers. Obviously, your situation, your department is going to be slightly different than maybe the person in the next department. But this is not a class to teach you how to pass the test. That sounds strange, but I'm not here to give away the answers. And, the old saying, pay the fee, get the B. It doesn't work that way. You've got to do the hard work. You got to put the effort in, but I'm going to give you a lot of tools, a lot of resources, a lot of suggestions. So the high level stuff that I want to cover in the class is I'm going to give you an overview of the Fire Service Assessment Center process, as well as the typical events that we'll talk a little bit about more in a second, because most departments today don't promote candidates just based on an oral interview score or just seniority alone, or maybe a written test score. We're going to talk about the most commonly used scoring criteria of what the raters are using to grade you. We'll talk about tools to create an action plan that'll help you best prepare for your next assessment center, because it's not if, but when it'll happen. And it's never too early to start preparing. We'll also talk about the necessary tools to create an action plan to best prepare for the position you are testing for, because in my book, 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Examination, the number one tip is prepare for the position, not the test. Obviously, you got to prepare for the test. We'll talk about that, but the position, because then it shouldn't matter what they throw at you. We'll also, like I said, get into the most common assessment center components, which are typically the oral interview, the personnel counseling session, or the role play, the conflict resolution, subordinate counseling, whatever they call it. Of course, we'll also talk about the emergency simulation exercise, the tactical fireground scenario. Well, it might be a fireground, it might be an MCI, a hazmat, something else. So we'll talk about all those and hopefully leave you with a lot of tools and resources to take back so you can put your own game plan together. We're going to talk about the most common mistakes that candidates make when participating in promotional exams, as well as those specific events. We'll talk about also typical traits of successful performers in promotional examinations based on my experience. I've been helping people get hired as firefighters for the last 30 years. I've been helping people get promoted from engineer to all, company officer, all the way up to fire chief. I've been on countless interview panels, assessment centers, coached many successful candidates. I'll try to share a lot of my experiences. This is an example of a recent test I participated in as a rater. 11 candidates made the list. Look at how close those scores are. 88.95 is number one, 75.21. That's a 13 percentage difference. I'm going to talk about every point counts, meaning 1 point may bring you up a notch or a couple notches. 2 extra points on the written exam, or maybe a little bit better on your oral interview, will bring you up even higher. So every single point counts. Look at how close those scores are. 5, 6, 7, 8 are all 84s. 1 point would have brought that person up at number 8, even above that. So until then, please feel free to reach out. My website, code3firetraining.com, has a free stuff link with a lot of free resources for promotional preparation, officer development, leadership stuff. Feel free to connect with me on social media. My YouTube channel has hundreds of videos of getting hired, getting promoted, and everything else. So that's about what I got for right now. Until then, I look forward to seeing you at FDIC 2024, and be well. And that's about it. So take care, everybody. Have a good one.